The Titanic, a Royal Mail ship, was a British luxury steamship which sank in the early hours of 15th of April 1912 off the coast of Newfoundland in the North Atlantic after striking an iceberg during its maiden voyage. More than 1,500 people lost their lives in the disaster, while about 700 people survived. It is one of the most famous tragedies in contemporary history. Little wonder it has inspired numerous stories and movies. "20 years ago, the Senegalese passenger ship Joola sank off the coast of the Gambia, killing 1,863 of the passengers on board. Only 64 people survived to date. The sinking of Joola is one of the worst maritime disasters in history. According to the World Almanac, the first is considered to be MV Dona Paz in 1987, which resulted in 4,000 deaths. RMS Titanic, which sank in 1912, is the third. Unlike the Titanic, the name MV Joola doesn't ring a bell. Joola is the name of a roll-on or roll-off ship that belonged to the Senegalese government. It was a luxury ferry which fetched the Senegalese government millions of dollars in direct and indirect revenue yearly. It was named after the Joola people of southern Senegal. Incidentally, the MV Joola was constructed in Germany and delivered in Senegal in 1990. It was 79 meters long and 12 meters wide. It had 2 motors. Besides, it was equipped with one of the latest safety equipment available at the time of the disaster. Joola usually traveled twice a week or often carried women who sold mangoes and palm oil in Dakar. At the time of the disaster, the ship had been out of service for about a year because it was undergoing repairs, which included the replacement of the port engine. Senegal is a West African nation. The capital is Dakar. The easiest way to reach Dakar from southern Persian was on the ferry Joola. She sailed once or twice a week from the river port of Zinkor in Dakar, an 18-hour trip, making one island stop along the way. On September 26, 2002, at about 1:30 p.m., it set sail from Zinkor, one of its frequent trips between southern Senegal and Dakar. According to reports, the ship, which was designed to carry a maximum of 580 passengers and crew, had over 1,900 passengers on board. Approximately 500 students from the region boarded the ship to attend a school in Dakar, and what is more, 30 European tourists boarded along with 1,000 other local people, making their way to the Dakar for various reasons. On top of that, the ship carried a partial load of vehicles and cargo on the main deck, as well as a partial load of fuel and water ballast. The exact number of passengers remains unknown. Some Senegalese organizations put the number at over 2,000. Nonetheless, there were 1,034 travelers with tickets. The rest of the passengers boarded the ship without tickets. Record reveals that at 10 p.m., the ship reported great sailing conditions to a maritime security center in Dakar, but around 11 p.m., the ship sailed into a storm and capsized. Within 5 minutes, everyone and everything had been thrown into the sea. Rescue operations did not start for several hours. In fact, government rescue teams did not reach the scene until the following morning. Before the official rescue teams arrived, local fishermen in the area started to pull survivors out of the water. Only 64 passengers survived. Out of the 600 women on board, only 1 woman survived. She was pregnant. The fishermen were not only able to rescue few people, but they also recovered several bodies that were floating around Joola. At 2 p.m., they rescued a 15-year-old boy who confirmed that there were still lots of people trapped alive inside the ship. Joola remained afloat until it sank around 3 p.m., taking with it those who were unable to get out of the ship. Those who died included passengers from at least 11 countries: Cameroon, Guinea, Ghana, Nigeria, France, Spain, Norway, Belgium, Lebanon, Switzerland, and the Netherlands. On September 28, 2002, environmental activist El Ali explored the disaster area. They saw no survivors, but a bevy of bodies of men, women, and children. 551 dead bodies were recovered in total. 93 of them were identifiable and given back to their families, while the remaining were put to rest in specially constructed cemeteries, and national funerals were held on 11 October 2002 in Dhaka. And if you may ask, why did the Joola capsized? According to a plethora of sources, the accident was caused by a variety of reasons. This is inclusive of negligence, while rough seas and wind were directly responsible for the accident. The ferry was built only to be sailed in coastal waters, but it was sailing beyond these coastal limits when it capsized. One of the most commonly mentioned factors in the disaster is overcrowding. Moreover, the heat and suffocating condition below deck made the ship unstable. Incidentally, it was only 12 years old and was built to last for at least 30 years. Nonetheless, it had suffered several technical problems in the years before it capsized, and these problems were attributed to culture of poor maintenance by its owners. Now, what happened after the Joola disaster? After the incident, the Senegalese government set up a committee to open an inquiry into the disaster. The committee blamed negligence for the high loss of lives. Relatives of the deceased and critics accused the then president of Senegal, Abdoulaye Wade, and the prime minister, Mamman, as the principal culprits. The president, in fact, dismissed the prime minister and her cabinet members for mishandling the rescue. Further, Senegalese government offered a payment of around $22,000 per victim to families of the deceased, and official inquiries into the incident were closed a year after the disaster. Despite that, the families of French victims refused the compensation packages. Instead, they sued the Senegalese authorities to French courts. On September 12, 2008, a French court handed down an indictment of 9 Senegalese officials, including the Prime Minister and the former Army Chief of Staff. After the disaster, there were huge outcry by the public over the magnitude of the loss of life and the apparent incompetence of the government. Abdoulaye ordered an investigation to be completed in a month. The investigation committee included local officials, representatives from the International Maritime Organization, and a safety investigator from Canada. The report highlighted the operator's failure to comply with the ship's stability standards and the failed rescue response. Categorically, it blamed the ship's captain for its failure and criticized Senegalese Marine Safety Authority for not enforcing regulatory standards and allowing a substandard ship to operate in an unsafe manner. Besides, it criticized the Navy for feeding untrained officers in the operation of a commercial vessel. The report was not published, but eventually some copies leaked into the public domain. 20 years after the sinking of African's Titanic, much remains vague. Senegalese and French investigators later concluded that a chain of misfortunes led to the accident: the poor maintenance of the Joola, the extreme overcrowding, the storm, and a completely inadequate rescue operation. Although the president dismissed his head of government and some other senior officials, numerous questions remain unanswered. A documentary by Senegalese journalists was broadcast on the 9th anniversary of the tragedy, September 26, 2011. The documentary detailed the story of some of the survivors and questioned the slow rescue operation. Senegalese footballer Aliou says lost 12 members of his family in the incident, and his club Birmingham City in England displayed a large Senegalese flag to remember the midfielder's family and the other people who lost their lives. To date, survivors and families of victims continue to ask questions. They still want justice.